And very welcome along to another edition of Tipp. Myself, Shane Brophy of the Nenagh, joined once again by Gary Tuher of Clubber TV. We're here, I suppose, long overdue. We haven't had a show in a couple of weeks, so we have a lot to catch up on. I suppose we're heading into, Gary, I described it as the most wonderful time of the year. I think quarterfinal weekend, where we have 16 quarterfinals from senior down to junior A. Throw in the Camogie semis, the quarters, that's 20, and then you throw in 2 relegation semi-finals and senior hurling. Like it's and the weather has taken a turn for the better over the last week, so like it's really gearing up nicely, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. Look, you hit the nail on the head, Shane. I suppose this time of year we're expecting ground to be heavy, soggy, dirty, rain, the whole lot. But sure, the weather last weekend for the games was brilliant. And sure, the weather this week has been through the roof. Got the grass cut a couple of times, which is the main thing before the hurling. But no, listen, great. And again, the conditions going to be perfect for the stadium as well, especially for the 4 big games inside the stadium. You want good ground, good decent ground. I know Paddy Green had the place absolutely immaculate. So yeah, between the Camogie, intermediate, premier, intermediate, senior, it's you'd wonder why people are giving out about the split season, because for me, especially here in Tipperary anyway, I think we've been so lucky with the round robin, the knockout last weekend and then the quarterfinals this weekend. So long live the split season.
Yeah, absolutely. I know there probably is going to be a tweak, all right, where I suppose they'll probably get their way in pushing the hurling final back at least a week. And look, I suppose the football finals going back 2 weeks into August, probably it won't impact us in the short term anyway. But yeah, like I think people have got to understand that, like, while the weather is good now, there could be other years where late September, October could be bad, and like the club player does deserve their time a good portion of the year in good weather. And in fairness, this August and this was the earliest part of September, maybe before last weekend, it was decent enough. Like so, but like I think the championship, it's been, I'd say, Gary, it's been kind of a slow burner. And I think maybe that has it's off the back of maybe the inter-county was so good. Maybe in other years when the inter-county season was bad, people were hungry for the club just to be able to forget about the inter-county, whereas this time, I suppose the afterglow of the All-Ireland was still there, and maybe the early rounds of the club maybe didn't really set the pulses racing, but definitely after the last round of group games and then into the preliminary quarterfinals, things have definitely picked up a notch.
Yeah, I suppose, like, again, I think we've taken consideration, most players were out a week after All-Ireland as well, so lads have been on the go. There's been feck all of a break, really, for club players, including the county boys. So I know the All-Ireland more likely to be pushed back a week, but I think we have to look at internally ourselves and look at maybe deferring our division championships at least 2 weeks before. God, look, if we do get to All-Ireland again, that wasn't right and didn't sit well with me to start the year. Some lads had to play 3 games in 9 days, 10 days. So I suppose we're going to go from that. It's hard for lads maybe to continue on momentum 4 or 5 weeks in a row. But no, you're right about round 3. Jesus, that was just, and trying to keep up with all the scores everywhere. And I keep saying to the boys, a Gillette kind of hurling Saturday or Sunday, club will get that sorted there. But no, we've been very lucky. Round 3 was brilliant. Last weekend, Shane, last weekend was unbelievable. Like the drama in Bursley, from senior point of view, Bursley and then into Nenagh, Kilruane. So it's calling a small bit of an upset, not inside their own circle, but outside the county. Then Drom-Inch coming back from the doldrums to be Clouty. The sudden death penalties up in Arravale. Like I was doing the Kilruane Kilruane game myself, James Hayden, a few others inside the box. We're keeping one eye on the penalties as well. So no, we've been very lucky with the knockout. It's about round 3 in the knockout. And again, this weekend, I'm actually not looking forward to previewing these games because the majority of them, I never usually sit in defence, but we sit on defence here a lot.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at all, especially we start with the 4 senior hurling quarterfinals. Like they're ball games. It could go either way. Like there's no clear favourite in any of them, and I think that's been the beauty of this championship. You saw last year we had no preliminary quarterfinals. This year we had 3 of them, and all 3 divisional champions didn't win the preliminary quarterfinals. It just shows you for definitely, like it must be the most competitive championship top to bottom. And like I'd even throw in the 4 teams that are in relegation, like Loughmore, Rossgrey, Mullinahone, like they all hurled pretty well in patches without getting enough results maybe to get through the knockout stages. So like there's been very, very few blowouts in the championship this year, which has been very encouraging.
Oh, that's it exactly. Like, look, I've said yourself, and I've met Ken on numerous occasions. I think you even improved tenfold from last year, but you see yourselves in the situation where you are. Ross Gray, terribly disappointing last year. Started this year very sluggish, but I think they've improved as the games got on in the county as well. Like that performance, they should have been Bursley that day and probably shouldn't be here. But like I think it was Paul. I was listening to Paul Carroll in one of his podcasts this week. Like there's so many teams there in the seniors. There was a grade between the senior and the Premier Intermediate. There's probably 5 or 6 teams you can pick from the senior, 5 in the Premier Intermediate, and that's probably where they're at the moment as well. You know, it's just like in terms of competitive, yeah, you're dead right. So you have Galway, Kilkenny, probably have 6 to 8 really, really strong teams there. But I think since they're reseeding here in Tipp, we actually have 8 teams that can win at Dan Breen. Like any of these 8 teams that win Dan Breen to weekend would not surprise me. Years gone by, it would. Same in the Premier Intermediate. Upper Church came down last year. They're probably not in my top 3 or 4 this year. Do you know, so it's just yeah, look, come here, we're absolutely blessed, and I think that's kind of shown in the attendance as well, Shane. I know from a Clover point of view, the viewing figures have gone through the roof, but the attendance going through the gates have been absolutely insane. And I think last Sunday, and I haven't spoke to anyone from the North Board, I could say there was more people there last Sunday for that double header than there was at the double header North final. Like the crowds last Sunday in Nenagh was absolutely incredible. So no, listen, it's all going in the positive direction, and yeah, we look forward to this weekend now.
Absolutely, yeah. Sure, we'll crack on looking ahead at the 4 senior quarterfinals, and I suppose as we're chatting, we'll probably touch back on what happened last weekend. I suppose the first quarterfinal Saturday at 2:30 in Semple Stadium, Holy Cross Ballycahill against Cashel King Cormac. I suppose 2 clubs that are doing everything right at underage coming through. They're actually playing in a Junior A quarterfinal on Sunday in Dundrum. They played in an under-19A semi-final a few weeks ago, which Cashel upset Holy Cross. I suppose frustratingly for Cashel, didn't go on and win the final, lost to St. Mary's last Saturday. Congratulations, St. Mary's, the first winners of the Noel Cosgrave Cup. Kind of fitting that the Noel Cosgrave Cup stays in Clonmel for its first time. So Noel, a proud referee, proud Clonmel man, a Marfield club man, but also a proud Clonmel man. So I'm sure he would have been delighted to see St. Mary's win that one. I think there's a bit of pressure on Holy Cross here. We're kind of wondering, okay, the last match against Clonalty was a dead rubber, but they were beaten by 4, but they were off the pace in that game. Then they lost to Cashel in the 19. I'm just wondering, has the edge come off them a small bit, or were they starting to maybe believe some of their own hype? Whereas, like, you think Cashel will be coming in all guns blazing for this one, and like I think that the pressures on Holy Cross was they're probably the team of the group stage, particularly with the wins over Killadangan and Tumivera.
Yeah, look, well, one thing is Aidan Sakelin won't have the lads believe in any hype, or there'll be no age gone off him, so that put that to bed straight away. It's just, I don't know, it's a strange one. Like after that Kilruane game, the whole place that day in Templemore felt something special about. That was their first real statement win against probably the team of the decade. And then like I don't believe in these dead rubber games. I know they were through Clonalty or in relegation, but they still named the full strength team. They were out to win that day. So my only concern with the Cross is momentum and consistency. They bet Kilruane, they lost to Clonalty. Then we saw what Kilruane lost the next 2 games. Clonalty then lost to Drom-Inch. So if you're going by like horse race and the form lines, the form has taken a fair bit of a beating. Cash on the other side of things, look, they've absolutely nothing to lose. They're up their first year senior. All you want to do is survive relegation. Your first year up at any grade. They've got to the knockout stage. It's bonus territory. And like even looking at the prices there in the last couple of weeks since they bet or they lost the Thurles but they qualified, they've actually gone out in pricing in all bookmakers, and nobody's really talking about them, which I think will suit them down to the ground. I do expect the Cross to turn things around. There's been too much hurt there in the last couple of weeks.
Brian O'Mara should be back. Like, you think they've got this far without Brian O'Mara, but then you'd wonder. Sometimes you see with teams, if a big name comes back, that maybe guys maybe around him, maybe the levels might drop. But like he has to find his way back into. Like, I know he's an All-Ireland winner, but like whether, I don't know. I assume they would have got a challenge game maybe in the last couple of weeks. Was like he's it'd be a risky one for him coming back in cold. Like you're Bush not done who to mind. You could have Owen Connolly ended up at half forward. You just don't know. You have the Bonners like Devin Ryan. Like it's he'll play, but it's a risk. It's a risky one all the same.
Yeah, I was actually with a Holy Cross man yesterday, and a Thurles Arsenal man yesterday, and they actually did play a challenge match there in the last couple of weeks, and I think Brian was actually playing. But I don't think, look, Brian's the kind of character that when he comes back into a team, I think the lads will work even harder around him because knowing what he's gone through in the last two or 3 months. And look, again, congrats to Brian and everyone that's been nominated for All-Stars as well. You'll probably touch on later on. But no, like he was talked out against the Dang and Watson News. He was there as well against Clouty. It's been 3 weeks since. I think he'll be absolutely 100% fit. Jim Ryan was unbelievable against Kilruane his first day back, so there'll be no fear of him as well. Look, I probably would Pip the cross inside in the stadium. I think just the legs that they have and the hurt that they've had in the last couple of weeks in Clouty and the 19A semi-final as well. I'll be pipping Holy Cross maybe by 3 or 4 points, but again, Cashel love the stadium as well. Like they absolutely embraced that last year. And again, I keep saying this word, they're an arrogant team, but in a good way. They manage their arrogance so well. And they're just on a wave of momentum at the moment. Granted, they lost the Minor B or the 19A, county final, but I've been saying Holy Cross are a coming team for the last 2 or 3 years. They're going to win Dan shortly, so they'll have to step up on Saturday if they do want to be winning Dan in the next year or two. So for me, again, no disrespect to Cashel, all 4 of these outsiders could win, but Holy Cross for 3 or 4 points for me.
Yeah, no, I fancy Holy Cross too. I think if there's an edge in them and they're refocused again, and if Holy Cross play to their level, I think they'll win. But like if they're off it a bit and Cashel are on it, and we can say, as you said, like Cashel in the stadium last year in the semi-final and final were pretty good. And I say like there's the loss of the 19 final, and I know there was a bit of controversy over at the end of it, and they felt a bit sore maybe over some refereeing decisions they get. They might use that to their own benefit too, like in terms of circling the wagons a small bit. I'm giving the nod to Holy Cross, but I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Cashel got this one going. You say that sometimes you get that wave of momentum behind you, and like it can be hard to stop. But because like they probably have as much, if not more, maybe experience on the field as Holy Cross. Holy Cross are a young team. Like take out Brian Amara, like they're young enough. They're loaded with talent. Brian and Cathal Barrett, but they're loaded with talent. Like so, but then like you get to the latter ages, the championship, a bit of know-how, a bit of experience is massive. And like they've got to a quarter final. It was 2 years ago, lost to Kilruane and didn't get there last year. So it's there is a bit of pressure on them. Holy Cross was like they have to break ground. Like there's expectation on them, not only probably within themselves, but in outside around the county as well. Yeah,
like I think the move of Cathal Barrett come back to fullback this year, so like your spine there is absolutely unbelievable. You and Burke Cathal Barrett, Brian will probably slip back into 6. Jim might even step up to midfield with Joe Caesar more than likely. Like Jim Ryan and Joe Caesar midfield, like most county panels would have that themselves. Robbie Ryan's probably been quite enough from his own standards this year. More so, he's getting more attention, obviously, for everything that he's done. So we know what Robbie can do inside the stadium. And Dara Woods as well. Dara Woods, absolutely, is just a different human being inside the stadium.
Yeah. We saw Tiernan Ryan has had a brilliant year, first year up an adult level. Like he's really taken to senior hurling very, very well. So moving on to the second quarterfinal on Saturday, and I suppose it's the quarterfinal of the round of the 4. It's Loughmore Castleiney against Toomevara, 4:30, repeated last year's county final. Loughmore, geez, I actually think they potentially are playing better than they were last year. But if there's one team that have the capability of taking them down, it's Toomevara. And I don't think we've seen Toomevara at their best. So I think they're building, and like last Saturday's preliminary quarterfinal, it wasn't easy on the eye. It was one of those arm wrestle games that you'll get where it's just about getting through it, and Toom got through it. You can say maybe you're a bit fortunate with the penalty that struck the post at the very end, but like Toom had, and Darren McCarthy missed a couple of frees, a couple of goal chances, that brilliant saves by Jack Kennedy, but the aiming high, like I suppose you're always saying to forward shoot low, like don't be going high, like as goalies, that's meat and drink for goalies. But and have Kevin McCarthy back from suspension too, like, and it's and like there's rumors over whether Noel McGrath will be fit or not. He came off after very early in their football match against Mile Rovers, probably just a precaution. You would hopefully think if you were taken off after 10 minutes, maybe he just felt something, and it won't be too bad. But I just think there's been picking the Brackens game, and even against ourselves in the dead rubber match when they did bring in a few fringe guys, but just the way that there was no easing up, like they were just ruthless on that night. I thought that was the thing that even impressed me more, that there was no softness even in the dead rubber. Like they were very focused on what they had to do. Like they know what they're about.
Yeah, but back to that football, I actually did that game with Michael Donnellan, and again, they were through anyway, and they had the group topped as well. So the rootness, like when look at it there, Noel went off, Liam Tracy went off, the 3 or 4 lads go off injured, and again, Noel, I've heard he's going to be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know, the perception of Loughmore, they've been around for so long, the legs aren't there. That's absolute nonsense. The legs that they have, especially the football I saw against Mile Rovers, I've seen them once in the hurling as well this year, they're very quick all around the field.
I actually think they've become more athletic. Like the likes of Paul McCahey and Ed Donnelly, Ed Connolly, geez, like the athleticism wise, I thought when we played them a few weeks ago, geez, there was a gulf in terms of that. They actually look way more athletic than they were last year. Like it's like that. It definitely looks like there's more power within them athletically.
Yeah,
you
can give a lot of credit there, I suppose, to Paul Tracy there. Yeah. Paul has been involved in, but no, I like if you look at the bare bones, 17 wins in their last 18 club hurling and football games. Yeah. They drew against Commercials in the other game they didn't win. I don't know, like I love this Tuamavara team, and and again, I think I remember saying to you last year as well that I wouldn't be surprised if they won last year or if they went on to win it this year. There was a sparkle in Ken's eyes after I chat with him after the game, and there was a sparkle in his eyes. I know the game from a neutral point of view, it was a poor quality game, but massive credit to Brackens who completely abandoned what their ethos is, the spare man, they're running out of the backs, the whole lot. They went man for man, and I thought when I saw that, the heavens are going to open up. Completely contrast to that. It was the tightest game I've done with Bracken 3 or 4 years. Going into that, they had the 15th worst offence 14th worst offence in the county championship, so they had to do something. So massive credit to them. But Toom was grinding it out. It wasn't a penalty in the end. We all saw it. If you watch back the replay, it was never a penalty. And the 2 saves from Jack Kennedy, no Kevin McCarthy. And again, Kevin, for me, is the man that makes that team tick. He's their main man. I don't care what anyone else says. 3-4 points in play every day. Ken said to me as well that how important he was. I would agree with you. I think of all the teams that are left in the quarterfinals, and I said to Tuamavara yesterday, this is the best draw for you, because if you are to win it, you will beat them along the way anyway.
You're better to you're going to knock the time to get the champion is early rather than if Loughmore get to a final, it's harder to beat them under a final. But for semi-final is if there's a potential time for them to be knocked out, this is it. And
like not the only reason, but I would tip Loughmore only more so out of respect and what they've done. And as you were saying there as well, they seem to be getting sharper and sharper. Like John as well in the football, like. John again has his perception, he only goes 5-10 yards here and there, and he's a couple of yards of dash space. John McGrath is a proper athlete. He was playing midfielder against Mile Rovers, and he was up and down that field all day long, sprinting 20, 30, 40 meters and keeping up with Mile Rovers' best, quickest players. So this nonsense of them not having legs, I do genuinely think whoever wins that game will win the county.
I definitely think whoever wins this game will be straight in as favourites. Like Loughmore are favourites anyway. I think if 2 win it, they'll go to the top of the pile in terms of favourites who's left.
I said it as well last year. I just think that Toom, again, I'm using that word arrogance, but the history that Toom have is creeping back in. That arrogance and cockiness on the field, the shoulders being brought out again, but it's all the history that they have. I think if they win on Saturday, I can't.
I think they're building. They have a nice team, and Toom have subs to come on. Like Austin Duff is making an impact. He comes on. Kevin McCarthy's going to start. So who's going to drop out? Will it be? Could it be Paul Ryan? Maybe. Could it be Robbie Kirk? I think definitely one of the players that is putting his hand up to be including a Tipp panel next year is Conor O'Farrell in the middle of the field. He's had a
geez,
super campaign. Like he's really, he's at the right age. I think he's about 22, 23. Like just, I don't think he's played it on underage on Tipp panels. Forgive me if I'm not mistaken, but like he just does his job so well. Like Darren Delaney's still playing to a high level. Just keeps it simple. Like I remember, and look, we all know. I think if Toom will need, like Dara will do what Dara does. Kevin McCarthy will get his 3 or 4 points. I think if Toom are going to win, they need either Jack Delaney or Conor O'Mara to have one of those games when we know they can, or they hit 3 or 4 points from play, maybe throwing a goal. And neither of them have done that so far, but they have the potential to. If they have one of those games that we know they can, I'm giving it a lot more because they've done nothing to suggest they don't deserve to be, that they will find a way to win. Yeah. But it's Toomey Vara at the end of the day. So then it's a nod for Loughmore for me. But if Toom win it, I wouldn't be a bit surprised.
Yeah, but you're right there about Jack. In fairness to Jack, he got 4 from play the last day. That was his. Yeah. And he had a good North Championship as well. But the whole thing with Jack Delaney is Jack could score 7-8 points in play on Saturday. He's one of those kind of players that can just open up. I have a feeling that I think Ken might do what they did last year. I think Kevin will obviously come back in, start in the forward. Conor O'Mara might drop to the bench. This is just from last year. Conor O'Mara was the man that saved them in the quarterfinal, semi-final last year, coming off the bench and completely changing the game. I think they'll start with the legs. Paul Ryan, I thought, was absolutely brilliant on Saturday as well. Just athleticism out from his unreal. So I'd imagine Kevin will come back in. Conor might drop out, but Conor O'Mara coming off the bench, you just know you're going to get a point or two. But look, I suppose from a North point of view, geez, you'd love to see Toom win. And again, it's just, that feeling around Toom. I know I was there last year getting to county final, but there was something there just last Saturday, a tight game. It's a young team. And Pippin Loughmore is more in respect what they've done. They haven't put a foot wrong at all. And it is Loughmore. I think if you beat them, I think you're going to win a county.
Absolutely. We'll go on to Sunday, first quarter final at 2:00. Moycarkey Burris against Drom-Inch. So, and I was doing this preview in the paper. This is the one that gave me fits. Was I picked Drum first before initially went back to Moycarkey. I can't pick between the two of them at the moment. I just like what I'm seeing from Drum this campaign. I think even though they're down bodies like the Jamie Maloney, the county footballer, sorry, Emmett, he's moved up to Portlaoise. Like they're probably in terms of squad depth, they're slightly weaker, but they actually seem more together, more united this year. I think their work ethic is very, very good. They seem very, very fit because the way they come back in game, like the Loughmore game, even though they lost, they were finishing like a train. They finished like a train last weekend against Clonalty. They saw out our game against Laura very, very well. That was a tight game as well. And then Moycarkey are sort of in the Holy Cross boat. They've been idle for 5 weeks. They lost their last round robin game to Bursley. Okay, there was nothing at stake for them, but you were kind of one. I've gone for Moycarkey because I think their ceiling is higher, but geez, the momentum is with Drum.
Oh yeah, and again, the whole thing with Drum in the last 5 or 6 years has just been consistency. There's been no momentum, consistency whatsoever out of them. Like they have so many young lads who've been hurling Harty Cup. They are finally coming through now. And
but it's the experience, lad. It's Shamey and David Collins are like they are leading from the front in the attack, and like you can see, and that's helping the likes of Cormac Fitz and young Canan who came off the bench. Like they're feeding off that. Like it's. I won't say it's the last thing of a dying wasp for some of the older brigade, but like they're showing great form.
She's far from it. I was in school with Shamey and Davey, but Shamey's like a spring chicken there at the moment. I'm sure he's sore the morning after games now, the older he gets, but
he's made solo runs against us, and even last weekend against Clonalty, like he's powering away from lads.
But that's it. I suppose I know we're not going to probably touch on Killangan here today, but a lot of talk of Killangan is, they've been around so long, the legs are going. The legs aren't going with Killangan. Killangan's issue is they just don't have the bodies coming through. Drum, I'm delighted to see him though, because again, they've been knocking the door and they've had a big victory one week and they'd lose to someone they should be the following week. A big thing for me is I think Kiwi Morris is after flying over to New York for the Ryder Cup from what I've heard, and he's flying back Saturday night or something. For me, that is like, I know he'll be there in time and everything, but like he's been probably their main man this year, and he's been absolutely exceptional. Again, another old man rolling back the years, he's been just absolutely incredible. Like that game we did up in Tipperary against Kilruane, like if you're going on foreign lines to beat Kilruane, who are just after improving tenfold this year, I'd be going against, I suppose, the bookies here. I'd be going for Drom here on the base that if it is true that Kiwi is flying back from New York a couple of hours before a game, and Drum's momentum, they have 2 wins from 2 in their last 2 games. Moycarkey, again, they had a good group stage, just like Holy Cross. They won 2, and then they lost the game. They probably should have bet on 4 lines of Bursley. Bursley had a poor year again by their own standards, but they raised it when they had to. I'd be going for Drum here. I just think the feeling around them at the moment is it's a nice feeling, and I hasn't felt like that from outside in a long time. Maybe then with Eddie, with the news that Eddie's going to Kilkenny as well, from what I've heard, 1 or 2 weren't particularly happy the way that was, I suppose, relayed back to maybe the squad of players. So, yeah, I'd be going for Drum here again. It is the tightest game to call, I think, all weekend. Again, more so in terms of the unpredictability of both teams. But yeah, Drum by a couple of points here for me. But again, like them all, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a draw or Moycarkey win.
Yeah, no, it'd be fascinating. Like if that Kiwi Morris thing is true, and I was like, he is their free taker, so you think, okay, they nearly have to play him. But would you surprised if Eddie started him from the bench? Like it's I know it's the Ryder Cup, but I think it's in Ireland in 2 years' time. Like there's going to be an opportunity to go again. It's a fascinating one for me. Like because like they said, the pressure's on Moycarkey. Like they got to the semi-finals last year, or they expect themselves to kick on. There's some guys are a year older. It's how they've dealt with the last 5 weeks, whereas Drom-Inch, they had to beat. They've been in knockout mode since they played JK Brackens. They've been since they played us actually. Since they played JK Brackens, and then coming from behind against Clonalty, like there was they were down 8 points in the middle of the second half, and he said and Clonalty were hurling well. Like he said, there's no way back from here, and like they were.
Maybe it's a small thing with Drum as well. I suppose they've been competing on the hurling football front as senior for so many years, and the intermediate team has been going relatively well as well. But the senior team hasn't. This year, they haven't been afraid to basically using the views of the intermediate team. They're all seeing relegation. They have no football. I know that was a different controversy at the time, but they're solely focusing on the senior hurling this year. I don't think it's a coincidence. But you made a good point there about Jamie and Emmett. If someone said to me Saturday that Jamie and Emmett would be missing, said, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't get out of the group and they'd be fighting relegation themselves, such as the tightness of the Tipp Championship. But no, the young lads coming through, Shamey and David, as you're saying, the experienced lads, they're nice bond there now again. Yeah, no, again, just from the outside in, again, all this is just hearsay from the outside in. You don't know what's going on in the camps or what's going on in training, how well or how bad things are going. Just from what we've seen in matches so far and the momentum, they're playing week on week. As you were saying, they have that knockout mode stage here for the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, I'm going for Drum here now for by a couple of points anyway.
Yeah, like you think Mike Fitzpatrick is injured as well. Stevie Nolan is injured. There's no Tommy Nolan this year. Like they're down an awful lot of bodies that would help. Even you think if they had everybody, like they'd have a really strong squad. So yeah, I was back and forth doing my preview. One was Drum 1 minute and Moycarkey next. I went with Moycarkey, but I don't know, maybe I'm sort of swaying back towards Drum here again. Like that's the tightest one of the 4. It could be a blowout either way. I wouldn't be surprised. At the moment, I think it's the hardest one for me to call. Last quarterfinal. 4 o'clock on Sunday at the All North Clash, Nenagh Aerogue against Kilruane McDonough's. Now it's the second meeting of the teams in the championship. They met in the North Championship back in July. Kilruane won by 4 points in Dala. Kilruane are moving very, very well. We were both in Nenagh last Sunday when they beat Kildangan 315. Full value for the win. Okay, Kildangan missed an awful lot of chances, but I don't think they had much. They didn't show the level of control of a hurling match that I would have expected for them. And I always thought, while Kilruane were a bit too open for my liking, but they never panicked. Even when Joe Gallagher got the goal with a few minutes to go to bring it back to 2. Like, they went up the field with Jerome Cahill got the point. Niall O'Meara kicked a quick free to Shane Cleary, and he stuck a brilliant point over on it going away from goal out near the sideline, and like, they just pulled away again. Like, there's a trustworthiness in Kilruane that I like, and that's why I think I'm tipping them to win, because we're still seeing that thing from Nenagh where from game to game you're not knowing what you're going to get. We saw a brilliant win over Thurles. Okay, Thurles are probably weren't the team we expected them to be, but like, it's still a scalp. Then only scoring 2-13 and underperforming against Cashel, like, they lost by a point, but they were well beaten that day. Like, the scoreline doesn't give a true reflection of that, and rebounded well against Mullinahone, which you're expected to do. So, like, and I suppose they do have a concern over Jake Morris between both a knee injury, and he had a hand in his right hand was in a hand protector at the weekend. So obviously he's carrying something. So, but I'd be fully expecting him to play some part. It's I suppose we know how we know with Kilruane tend not to beat themselves. So, like, I think they're nearly the safer bet. But like, we all know that if Nenagh turn up and use the open spaces of Thurles, there's no reason why they can't win it either.
Yeah, again, there's suppose that word about a lot of teams, consistency. You just don't know what Nenagh team will turn up. You know what Kilruane team will turn up, in fairness to them. Again, praise and sauce there, Thomas Williams, over the last year or two. He's done a super job since he's gone in, just managing the whole pack there together with the help of Fergal Healy, Bubbles, and Buggy as well. I was just very impressed with Kilruane on Sunday. Like, when Kilruane or Killangan got that goal right before half, 6 points up in the 31st minute, and then the goal, bring it back to 3 points right before half time. I just felt that was going to be the resurgence that Killangan needed. They'd go on, completely manage the game, and win out in the end. And again, as you say, Joe got that goal to bring it back to 2 points. Again, subconsciously, I was like, they will. It's Killangan. Killangan will kick on. But no, there's a lovely blend about this team. And talking to Bill after the game, I think he said 13 or 14 lads have graduated up to the adults rank this year from underage, between senior and junior A. And like, for Sauce and the lads had the trust to put into Shane Cleary, who started every game this year. Like, looking at Shane, like, he's still only 17, 18. He has a lot of filling out to do. Looking at him, you say, I'll take this lad handy, no problem. Like, he was exceptional again last Sunday. The first point he got from his own 65 in the first 7 or 8 minutes was brilliant. To start, Michael Cleary didn't have his day on Sunday, his first championship start, but he's been absolutely brilliant coming off the bench, and he'll be playing again this weekend. Cormac Doughton, he got a few minutes again, but like, I'd be nearly be getting a petition going to get Bill back into Tipp. Bill is just bouncing off the ground.
Great stuff, isn't he?
Oh, I've never seen him just gliding through the ground, the side steps here and there, and Jerry, like, he's just absolute a potion. Just watching Jerry Cattle hurl is worth the admission fee alone. He was exceptional. He could have got man of the match as well, but they have a lovely blend there. And
again, they have like that's what they're a real old fashioned team, and I suppose it helps when they have two lads in Keane O'Kelly and Thomas Cleary who relish that they want the dropping ball coming. Like, Keane O'Kelly scored 2 goals. I think Thomas Cleary set him up for both.
Awesome, yeah.
I think Kelly broke the ball down, I think, for the one for Owen Hogan. I love just the way they managed the game. Like, they brought on Dara Peters and Owen Hogan in the forwards. Like, they're out the backmen, but it's okay. No, these guys are experienced guys. We just need somebody to hold up the ball, win a couple of frees, and they did that. Like, they managed the place around, even when they had to bring Conor Austin off after 20 minutes when he was being skinned by Paul Flynn. Just no ruthless, just got him off the field. Like, and I'm sure Conor will start again at the weekend. There's a ruthlessness on the side, and it'd be interesting to see. Like, they won't have Buggy on the sideline on Sunday because they're playing at the same time for Killing All. So I'm sure that'll be a bit of a loss, like maybe not having him there.
Yeah, and again, like, I spoke about Bubbles last, and I know Bubbles, yeah. And they're fairly lively on the sideline. He made a fair point. They try to be lively on the sideline, and so the players are not on the field. Now, maybe apart from 1 or 2 lads, they're all very, very kind of quiet in the field towards the referee. So they let the boys on the sideline do that. But look, again, from a Nenagh point, like Nenagh could go on and win the next 3 games by 5-10 points and win this county championship in second, third gear. That is the quality they have. Like if you're looking at a first 20 on paper, Nenagh have the more quality on paper, but they just haven't produced it. And we're still waiting for Nenagh to click and gel and put a consistent run of games together. And maybe the stadium might open them up and might give them the kick up the backside that they need, because they know themselves they're good enough to win Danbreen. We all know they're good enough to win Danbreen. But again, Kilruane have been more consistent this year in their games. And that game in Dalla as well, at the start of the year, Kilruane, I think it was 4 points in the end. It could have been 7 or 8 points, and it should have been 7 or 8 points. They were that better of a team that day.
The difference that night was Cian Darcy, who got 1-8 from play. And it's hard to see him doing that again. Look, even if he only gets 3 or 4, that's a big saving from Nenagh's point of view. It'll be interesting to see who would they sacrifice Sam O'Farrell. Let's go on a man marking role there. Just again, look, Cian hasn't had the same impact on games since then, but that's not to say that you don't want him. Or maybe would Sam be sacrificed maybe to go on Jerome Cahill and reduce his impact? I do think there could be an element of man marking here, and I think Nenagh played actually well that night. They scored about 121. I think the Cashel game was an outlier. They only scored 213. And against Nenagh, Mullinahone and Kilruane, they scored heavy. I think they'll score heavy. It's just, will it be enough to win?
But they just to go back to that game in Dalla, it was so frustrating. Again, it was kind of the old Nenagh. They had, I think that's 16 or 17 wides, but they went for goals when the handy point was on.
Yeah.
And again, they were overworking the ball. Maybe it was something they said before, and look, it's only in our championship. Let's try work goals here. Let's try working our killer instinct. It just didn't work. But I suppose that game against Cashel as well, it was in burst that day. That day, the wind was absolutely, it was just a dirty wind that day as well. So you can forgive teams' performances that day. I wouldn't be man marking Cian Darcy. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think Jerry is the man to stop down the centre. Cian got 2 points from played last day. Still had a quiet game by his own standards. He got man the match the day before against Ross Gray, 1-4. But apart from the Ross Gray game and the Killangan game North, he's been so well curtailed. Bursley did a man marking job on him as well. I'd be more looking at trying to stop the high ball going into Cian and Tom. And I'd be maybe trying to sacrifice someone on Jerry and Bill, because their ball, you just know when Bill gets a ball, if you make a run, that's there. It's there. The way he strikes the ball is absolutely gorgeous as well. But from an Nenagh point of view, I'd be stopping Jerry and Bill before we do anything else. But then from a Kilruane point of view, look, Jake will play. I saw the cast as well. I'd imagine he will play, just precaution. Jake, Sam, Mikey, Mikey Heffron still goes under the radar every single year. He'll pick off 10 points on Sunday, and 4 or 5 of those come from play. He's just one of these lads. He just glides in and out of games. Might touch a ball for 10 minutes, boom, 2 points go over the space of a minute from play. I don't know. It's just I'm just tipping Kilruane on what they've done so far this year and the unpredictability of Nenagh. Yeah. But again, Nenagh could win this game by 10 points as well if they click.
I think you've nailed everything I've said. I've gone for Kilruane, but the more I think about it, I think Nenagh could win it and should win it if they hurl to the potential. I think it'll be a cracking game. Looking forward to that on Sunday. Just before we go to the Premier Intermediate, we might just touch on the 2 relegation semi-finals. I suppose we can now officially start it now with Clonolty losing their preliminary quarter-final last weekend. So firstly, it's the North Cash, Ross Gray and Laura and Clough-Jordan at 4 on Saturday. I suppose I'm in the Laura camp. I think it's a matchup. I think both clubs would have been pretty happy with the draw, because I think they both know each other. They know each other's styles. We would have played each other in the league over the last 2 years. So we're pretty familiar. We know each side knows what's coming. It's all about who performs on the day. Both teams in the championship have hurled pretty well. But Ross Gray got a draw, but they probably felt like they should have beaten Borrisley. They were very, very competitive against Kilruane, very competitive against Moycarkey. Laura will feel should have beaten Drom. Were thereabouts with Brackens. When Brackens were going well at the start of the championship, I don't think the same Brackens team, maybe up to last weekend, has reappeared since. And then the Loughmore game was a dead rubber match. I suppose I can't call it. What were you leaning on it?
Draw, move on. No, again, Ross Gray, again, such a frustrating team, but if you go on their form, the county championship, yeah, 2 losses and a defeat. The only loss, I think, was a 4 or 5 against Moycarkey in the first, 6 against Kilruane, and they drew. So like they're only -9, -10 on score difference.
Like I think we could probably throw away the Kildangan match in the north. Was They actually looked like a team that weren't ready for the championship that day.
No.
Like they were so poor. They looked like a team that just got together and look, sometimes that can happen when a championship starts, that you think you're ready when you're not, but actually you're not. And I think that scared them right.
Oh, that was adamant, and it was a year before they got an awful hocking off Kildangan as well.
Yeah.
But if you're on the far lines, they wouldn't have bet Moycarkey, but a good performance against them. They should have bet Bursley, and only a 6-point defeat against Kilruane, and they were with him up until the 58, 59 minutes. So from a Roscrea point of view, and I know a lot of lads very well, that team works on confidence, and if they take the confidence from the Kilruane performance alone, let alone about should have beaten Bursley, they'll be feeling that they are the favourites coming into this game. But I keep knocking on that. I've been so impressed with Laura this year. Again, you're scoring. Geez, when I was doing the stats at the weekend, I think you're in the top 7 or top 8 for scoring this year. But again, you're in the bottom 2 or 3 for conceding. You're just that kind of team. It's man on man.
I'd say our forwards are our strongest part of our team. Yeah, and I guess I'd say we're scoring well. We should be scoring more. Like I think the amount of goal chances we've left behind this year is like, even against Loughmore, we probably should have finished with 5 goals. I think Drom-Inch could have got another 2, and even the Brackens, we probably left a couple behind as well. Like it can give. I think the one thing we were kind of reflecting on, we just we get in, see the whites of the goalie's eyes this weekend. Just got to get no mercy, like, because like I suppose we are creating chances. Got to take them.
That's it. Like, sure, young Connor inside again. I've been so impressed with him, and I think he's under 20 again next year, isn't he?
I think himself and Lee Hogan, I think, are on the long list, I think, for the 20s next year. So
I was just going to say, if they're not in there over the winter, it's all the one. Connor has improved. I remember last year below in Clough-Jordan, his very first start against Nenagh. Now we won't talk about the score that day, but he got 1-4, 1-3 for play that day. His first senior start. He's improved so much. Look, again, I not just because I'm here with you. I've been banging the Lord drum all year. I think they will win on at the weekend. I just think, again, the scoring process of what you have, I think you'll outscore Roscrea. I feel it'll be a very high scoring game. I know Roscrea do like playing a small, like a bracket style, a spare man at the back, running up through the centre, and I think they could really get caught overplaying it at the weekend. Just from what I've seen Roscrea the last couple of years, you play your man and man, you go hell for leather. It could be a high scoring game, and just like I suppose Templeberry Burge would be hoping for 9 goals again from a neutral point of view. But I just think, and you had a really tough group as well. You put up big scores against big teams. I just think Laura will have too much up front at the weekend.
I hope you're right, but like I promise, I'd say it's like we're practicing penalties last night or getting our set. Like, it's just you have to have all your I's crossed and T's, I's dotted and T's crossed at this stage. So it's like both teams were in the relegation semi-final last year, so like they know what they're facing into. I don't think there'll be any. It won't be. I think it'll be a freer game, unlike maybe the final where there'll be more pressure. I think both teams will probably feel, look, if there's a chance to play freer this weekend, this will be it. And I think a shout out, maybe another potential, maybe Tipp player on the radar. Like he's not young by any means. I've always been a big fan of him. I don't know what you think, Dan Ryan and Ross Gray. He's just a workhorse. He's an athletic guy. I just think he's another one he doesn't get much of the plaudits with Ross Gray, like the Tynans and Shane Fletcher always tend to get the credit, but like he and Evan Fitz, but like Dan Ryan is a lovely player. Like just his
performance against Bursley in Templemore, if it wasn't for him, Bursley had that game wrapped up in the bag. That's a good left field shot there. Yeah, Dan's been really consistent in the last 2 or 3 years, usually from wing back, wearing number 10 this year, kind of going midfield, wing forward.
You're probably talking about 25, 26, but you look at Andrew Ormond. Like there's a good maturity there. So moving on to the second relegation semi-final, Clonolty Rossmore against CJ Kinkins Mullinahone. That's in Cashel on Sunday at 4:00. Depends on how Clonolty's mentality is after losing last weekend. Like, I'm sure they would have been sick to lose to Drom. Like, I don't know. I don't know would Clonalty have believed it could have gone the whole way and won it and gotten out of relegation. But I'd say they would have definitely felt, look, we can, if we got through a round and delayed the relegation and the other 3 teams are stale, but now they have to come in off a game, they'll feel they're left behind. And I'm Mullinahone, if they get off to a strong start on Sunday, Jesus, you could have Clonalty, a West champion, a team who were almost in a quarter-final, potentially in a relegation final.
Yeah, look, I suppose from the outside in, yeah, it's a relegation game, anything can happen. And again, there's no disrespect to Mullinahone. I think for me, it's the easiest game to call of the senior games. As again, I think Clonalty will have way too much quality for them. Granted, yeah, they're in a relegation semi-final, but again, their form lines, they beat Holy Cross. They feel they probably should have bet Drom. Again, they could have bet Drom, they probably should have bet Drom and held on. But I just think Clonalty will have too much, and that team has too much road down them to be feeling sorry for themselves. They won't feel sorry for themselves this week whatsoever. I just think there'll be no issue whatsoever. Hurling wise, man for man, they do have better hurlers and more quality hurlers than Mullinahone. Now again, it's relegation. It takes on a life.
Jack Shelley's back for Mullinahone, which is a big help. He came off the bench. He's the spiritual leader of that team.
100%, yeah. And again, look, the usual thing, pinning up in a dressing wall. It's just from an outside point of view, I just think Clonalty, they've had a good championship campaign. Granted, in relegation, they performed very well in all their games. And as you said earlier on, like, they had nothing to play for against Holy Cross, but they went out hell for leather. I just think with what they have, Robert Dials, Stephen Ferncombe again, I think he's been quality again this year.
Burke was quiet last weekend.
Exactly. So, and no, I just think of all the games senior this again, it's no disrespect whatsoever to Mullinahone. They could win this game, no problem whatsoever. But I just think from what I've seen from both teams this year, and I'd hate to see another South team go down, because Dan Breen needs more South teams. So now look, from what I predict, Ross Gray and Mullinahone to lose again, I do think Mullinahone will have too much Ross Gray. Again, that's just what I've seen so far this year. So for me, I just think Clonalty by 5 or 6 points, I think they'll have plenty in the home stretch.
Yeah, I think Clonalty are the safe bet, but like it's just a dangerous one for me in terms of what's the heads like in Clonalty, just on that, just because like they'll feel they should be in the stadium, like when they had the game in their control, and just didn't see it out. Just moving quickly to Premier Intermediate 4 quarterfinals this weekend. We'll just quickly touch on them each. First one is on Saturday at 2:30 in Bohalahan. Your own Silver Mines up against Carrick Swan. I think Silver Mines are in a nice place. They'll be raging underdogs for this game, but they're coming in with momentum. I saw them in the North semi-final against Moycarkey, and I thought, I didn't like what I saw. But in fairness, like they've turned things around well. They've got a nice system in place. They put Jason back in the forwards. Sean Nolan is a lovely foil for him now. Like, he's taken some of the scoring load off him. All the pressure's on Carrick Swan in this one. So like the Mines, it's really a free swing.
Oh, it's completely free hit. Again, you hit the nail on the head. Like, I think it's start of the year and even last year. Like this is probably the youngest Mines team or squad, I'd say, in the last 30 years. In my lifetime anyway. It's 100%. And for me, so not being involved anymore, from the outside in, just stay up relegation, keep building on that 17, 19s and 21s of all won Norths and counties in the last 4 or 5 years. Keep building those boys, ease them in gradually. But the amount of the young lads that Decky and David and Jody have thrown in this year, it's just been, I haven't seen it in my lifetime. And again, Sean Nolan, I know Sean very well. I had him at 17 for a good few years with his father Decky, and Sean always had that. He always had the wrists, and he was always wiry, and he's still a small lad in stature, but he's just got so wiry this year, and it's added to his hurling. And it was delight from that day against Andy Carty. Got 1-5 in play. Again, from the Mines end, it is a free hit, but I know the group game last year, we bet him as well in Group 3. Swans were through, we were in relegation anyway. But look, even with my Mines hat on, look, the Swans should be winning this, and Swans are the favourites for me in the county. They should be winning this comfortably enough from what we've seen from them last year. This year, I think they've got even better this year. They've won the South. They've kicked on again in the group stage. No complacency whatsoever. They're not the highest scoring team, Shane, but they play a brand of hurling where they kind of smother you within the game. You don't even realise it. Again, completely free hit from the Wines. I think the Swans will win it. But I think regardless of what happens at the weekend, I think the lads can be delighted with the work this year. Loads of young lads have been found as well at the senior grade.
And particularly Mikey Corcoran as well, like who was he's not there. And the only thing is just with the Swan, like they've kind of only played maybe South teams in the championship. Was the team outside their division they played is Clonakilty, and they struggled for a lot of that game. Look, the Swan haven't shown anything to suggest that they're not going to win this game, but like I think I give Silver Mines a real puncher's chance here. Like, and like we all know, like Jason has one of these games where he finishes with 114 and hits sideline balls over the bar to beat the band, that they can't pull this one off. Second quarterfinal is in Templederry on Saturday for Gortnahoog Glengool against Ballina. Ballina won the preliminary quarterfinal against Sarsfields last weekend by 3 points. It gives them, they're fresh, they're hungry. Stephen O'Brien is back fit, he's back starting. Gortnahoog have been very, very impressive. I think Gortnahoog will have just a bit too much savvy for them.
Yeah, Gortnahoog will be second in my ranking for the championship. I think we have to massive credit to Ballina. Like they're competing on both fronts, and I don't know if I've got a few friends below there, and they keep me updated. The amount of injuries, Shane, they've had in the last 4 or 5 weeks from David Kelly, Stephen O'Brien, a couple of Collins are picking up injuries as well. Mikey Grace missed the last day as well, and Mikey, like he came on he started in our final and he was absolutely immense. Like they've had 5 or 6 bodies down there every day going into every game. Granted, Thurles aren't more than what we know Thurles can be this year, but they still had to go out and win that game after playing football the week before. I think it will end for Ballina this weekend. I think Gortnahoog and Swan are just the two teams are just a level above everyone else at the moment, and that's including the Church. We'll get on to them in a while. I just like Gortnahoog. I just like the way they go about their business. They're fierce and tense, and they got 1 or 2 scares off Mine Temple 2 this year. I think they've had enough kickers up the backside to not take anything complacent at the weekend. From a Ballina point of view and a North point of view, I'm delighted they won their North. They had a poor year last year by their own standards. They've really kicked on again this year to win an North, get to a county quarter final. That's massive, but it's bonus territory. Just like the Mines, they've nothing to lose at the weekend. Gortnahoog will be massive favourites for it, and they can just hurl with complete freedom. They're a high scoring team, and if Stephen starts again, I know Stephen struggles with the ankle he has, but he was dynamite last weekend. So Stephen, Mikey, Collins, David Kelly's fit again. They could win it. There's no issue about it.
David Kelly, I think they all played last weekend, which was
exactly. So it's
and
just,
I suppose at this stage of the year, you've kind of got to play. You got to play through injuries and knockout games. You got to get no holding back and say when you go for the next game, you got to go and that's it. Third quarter final Sunday at 1:00. Boherland Duella against Moneygall and Borrislee. I think while Boherland are coming in as the top seed, I think Moneygall are in a great spot here. I think they only have to go back to 2 years ago on the intermediate semi-final. Moneygall were expected to win that. They lost it. The conditions in the monsoon, I think when they got the draw, it's lovely. And there's no, just the Boherland are a very good team. I think Moneygall would only love the chance to avenge that. And the way they're hurling, they just don't know how to lose at the moment. I fancied Nenagh to win last week, and I said Nenagh will just have a bit too much experience for them. And this was in a game that there was no more than 2 or 3 points in it. Moneygall just always kept their noses in front, and that shows you there's a great steel in there. Like there's no panic there. I think this game is, and just as the manner Boherland lost to Templederry in the last group game, and then Noah Templederry have picked up, like they've got a couple of key bodies back. We saw how well they can play in the forwards. I think Moneygall are in a lovely spot for this weekend.
On paper, Church and Kilruane is probably the game of the weekend in this grade, but for me, the hurling game of the weekend in this grade is this game. I think this is so fascinating. Again, I remember being in Temple 2 that day, O'Dwyer with the long free in from nearly 100 yards out. No one could see it. Monsoon, the game probably shouldn't have gone ahead. and the hurt. I don't think the boys will be. I don't think Moneygall will be worried about the hurt. And the redemption and all that kind of nonsense. I just think they'll fancy themselves. I think they're in such a good position. They're undefeated, 4 games, 2 wins, 2 draws. Against an Moycarkey team who were so well seasoned. And I thought off the back of losing to the Mines, which was a shock to everyone outside in the Mines, I thought they'd kick on and put the young pretenders to bed nice and early. But like the best thing about Moneygall this year for me, yeah, Sean had a good day the last day, but Sean and Joe have probably been curtailed a lot more this year, higher up in the grades. They're relying a lot on under-19s, which is unbelievable.
Owen's having a great season.
Owen, if there's all stars for Premier Intermediate, he's got one already. Like Owen Dutton is under 19 again this year or next year. Shea Gleeson has been absolutely immense. 2-man the match awards he's picked up. Keane Ryan going about his business quietly as well. Like there's 4 or 5
more room in the team for Sean Fogarty, like, so I get just shows the risk of having the forwards, like.
And Sean was their go-to from puck outs and winning high ball. Like you're bringing Sean Fogarty off the bench again. Paddy Fogarty probably hasn't hit the levels he's hit in the last 2 or 3 years, and I've been saying he's probably good enough to be on a club senior team. Adam Hogan, I think, has gone to a whole new level again this year, stepping up in grade. Brendan back there has just been keeping things so solid. And I suppose Roddy Teen is a big addition again for Moneygall this year. Missed a lot of hurling last year, and Roddy went through a hard time with injury, and it's not mentioned either. So they've lost Dan Quillen, who's probably one of the most consistent goalies in intermediate the last 5 or 6 years. Kieran Quillen, he retired. Then Mark Fanning went in goals. Nice and consistent. Mark in goals, puck outs, absolutely brilliant. Mark gets injured. Then Kevin McCormick has to go on goals. Kevin, another young lad, he's only 20 years of age, and he's played the last 2 games, and he's been absolutely brilliant. So, like, there's been a lot of changes to the team that won the county last year. So, look, I'd be tipping Moneygall. I think they're on a wave there at the moment. Lovely brand of hurling. If they can keep Tossie quiet, they're not a one-man team, but keep Tossie quiet, and I think you're going a hell of a long way.
Yeah, the thing for me is there's more of an even spread of scores in a Moneygall team than Boherlahan, who Tossie Ryan, brilliant player, does get an awful lot of their scores. I wouldn't say they're a one-man team either, but and he doesn't mind the responsibility. But I just think this level of Premier Intermediate, you need a greater spread, and yeah, I think fancy Moneygall there to get through. And the last one, probably the most high profile of the quarterfinals, Upper Church Stromban against Killinall. That's in Holy Cross at 4:00 on Sunday. Upper Church haven't fired yet, but I think they're incrementally improving, and I think Killinall are the same. Killinall were slow. I thought they were very poor in the South final, but they've improved since then. They've the way they murdered St. Mary's in their groups game. They finished very strong against Clonakilty. They were more competitive against the Swan the second time round. They seem to be gelling a bit. They seem to be not overplaying the ball like they were as much early in the campaign. I'm just wondering with Upper Church Man, like they've been like they drew up Moneygall, they beat Ballina, they last minute goal to beat Ballina to top the group. They were within seconds going out there. I don't know. I kind of have feeling like Upper Church are still haven't suggested it yet. Like so, like it. You'd have to think maybe Killinall are probably to have this greater momentum at the moment.
Yeah, like again, we're here knocking Upper Church, but we'll probably have Upper Church at a higher level because we're probably still thinking that they're a senior team. And they're undefeated in this year's championship. But again, it's more so flatter to deceive. For me anyway. I think Killinall have had a more kicks up the backside this year, especially that South final. Jesus, I think they've. I know it's only a South final, but South finals are nearly all Ireland finals below there. They were so poor that day, and I think they still probably feel the hurt of it. And just like you said, they've gradually improved game by game. I think they've improved a lot more. Granted, they lost again to the Swans, but the second performance against the Swans was very impressive. It's not a confident Killinall, but of all the 4 games, I think obviously Swans should beat the Mines. I think Killinall will win this. I just think they've got a small bit of a swagger back. That South swagger is back a small in the last couple of weeks. Bubbles is going very well in the goals. Granted, lost them out the field. And again, the Church, and I'm not beating the Church, it's just, I think the Church have just been at this kind of monotone all year. And as you're saying, they're gradually improving. I think Kilruane are just going at a higher spirit at the moment. And again, like, could be eating my words come the weekend.
Yeah, maybe there's just an element of a change in Muppet Church, and like they're combining the dual element well, and they're going very, very well in the football. I think they have a great chance of beating Aherlow and going to a semi-final. So like they're trying to manage that as well. Maybe they're going to fully explode, like, or maybe their peak has gone. We just don't know. Like, I think it's going to be tight. I've just given the nod to Upper Church to man. I think this will be a fascinating
and it's
game.
just another thing as well. Paddy Phelan, who's been probably their best player last year too. I know Paddy's still very young. He hasn't exploded at all this year. Now, if Paddy has a game, Paddy's a game changer on his own. If Paddy Phelan opens up this weekend, I'd be more so towards Church, but he's been so well curtailed in all the games. But no, just look, I go for a point in this one for Kilruane.
Yeah. Just before we wrap up in Premier Intermediate, the relegation finalists we know are Burgess and Clonakilty. Were both in on Sunday. Templederry Burgess game 4:25 to 5:15, and it was I called it a strange game in my rights report, because you'd usually 9 goals and 30 points or 40 points. It'd be a classic. Jeez, it was anything but. Like some of the defending was horrendous, I thought, in the first half. And for like 7 goals, and you think at least 5 or 6 of them were preventable. Just players just not going to the ball, like but in fairness, fair play to Templederry. They got James Woodlock in. He worked his magic. He got on the phone to Adrian Ryan and Brian Stapleton. Right, lads, we need you back. They've come back. Adrian Ryan 1-5 from play. Brian Stapleton come off the bench, hit a monster free in the second half. And look, I'm still going to say it. I think Sean Ryan is worth another look in with the county. I think Sean Ryan and a Tipp team that's going well. I'd be fascinated to see. Like, he was in there when maybe things weren't going as well, and maybe there wasn't enough, a lot of confidence around him. Like, he's just brilliant to watch.
It's sure. Whatever was hurling was his feet, Shane. His feet are just magical. Like, I played a bit of junior soccer there, and you try to make a go left or go right. It takes you half a day to try to go. Yeah. He goes left or right 4 or 5 times in the same movement. It's just his athleticism is unbelievable. And look, Sean is a character. He's probably great to have around the place. He's bubbly. There'll be never any drama. He won't be back mouth or anything like that. So for character-wise, he'd be great to have around. I still find it strange that he wasn't in there. Maybe just Liam just didn't fancy him at the time. But again, if you're trying to see a game out or chasing a game with 10 minutes to go, and you bring this lad who's supersonic speed, super quick off his feet, wrists are unreal. He's unbelievable in the air as well.
Do you know the way in NFL where when the combine they do it, they measure everything? And I was saying that if you measure these hands, they must be like buckets. It was like he's not a huge man, but geez, his ability to win ball with lads hanging out of him for a guy who's probably 5'10", 5'11" is unreal.
Oh, hands like shovels, they're unbelievable. Yeah. And I know Burgess made a mistake at the start going man and man. And fair play to him for trying to do that. But even when Keith Nealon went into the pocket, there was 4 or 5 balls came in on top of Sean, and he jumped up with Darragh Hogan behind him and being behind Keith Nealon, just got up with the ball behind him. But his movement then, there was one ball, it was Ado. Sean was in behind the 2 boys. He made a run over the far corner underneath the stand, and the goal came from it. He's just... Yeah, look, listen, I think Stevie Wonder can see that he probably deserves another chance during the winter and a proper go in the league. Start him a couple of games, bring off the bench, and just see how it goes. No, I actually met a Templederry man in Casey's in Toom last night, and I won't name his name, but I said to him, thanks very much. From a neutral point of view, it was great. I know it wasn't a super great game, Shane, you have a great point, but just all the goals, I haven't seen that in a long time. Look,
it was just that even when the goals were going in, the crowd really didn't get engaged by it. It felt like it was a very small crowd there. Like, even though it was a big crowd, it felt like there wasn't too many Burgess or Templederry, and like even they felt, God, we got a goal. We actually didn't have to work that hard for it. Yeah.
I think like maybe after the 4th or 5th goal, everyone's like, "Oh, Jesus, lads, will you stop? Come on, can we just start hurling here properly a small bit?" Yeah. But no, look, Templederry were full and deserving winners. Again, even when Burgess has said did put the spare man back, it didn't really make a difference. Again, Ado Ryan, he's only been training 3 weeks. Yeah, 3 weeks, and he was just 1-5 class of permanent. Again, O'Brien had that serious injury as well. Lucky to to still be able to play sport. But no, look, Templari deserved it. Again, speaking of Sean after the game, they've probably a lot of soul searching to do over the winter. If the boys, like those boys, Garrett, Tom, like what the minds that they have, they don't know anything. So look, that's for another day of talking. Burgess, Clonakilty.
I'm sure they'll love to say to Woody, look, could you commit for next year? Okay, you're going to be with the Tipp minors first half of the year, but if they know that Woody will be there come July or August, I'd say I wouldn't be surprised if Woodlock does agree. Maybe you mightn't see me much early in the year, but I'll be there for the back end for the real stuff.
Yeah, and again, Sean actually said that as well. I suppose they barely had 15, 16, 17 for most county league games. Didn't win a game in the county league, had a poor North Championship. So look, if I'd say if James would come back, if he knew all the boys would give it one more go. But look, again, I suppose that's for another day's talking. But like this is Burge Clonakilty. I'm going for this is my only game I'm going for a draw with, because they're just two teams you haven't a clue what's going to turn up. For me, Burge is Saturday, or that game against Moycarkey in Bursley in the North semi-final. That performance just blew me out of the water. They were so intense that day. The level they brought, and then against Ballina, they were so flat, and it's just gone so downhill. I know there's been red cards and injuries and everything, but they're just on a wave that's just going deep here at the moment, and I'd be very concerned from their point of view, just on the momentum. Clonakilty, again, they haven't really shown anything all year. But if there's two clubs that are just, I suppose, ignorant in a way that they will not give up a fight. Yeah. Like this could be just a battle of pure ignorance at the weekend, and a couple of bits of skill will win it out for them. So again, I'm going for a draw here. I can't call it.
Well, it's not. Well, yeah, the game is not for a couple of weeks. We'll probably preview it in a fortnight's time. Yeah, but I'd say Burgess will probably be hoping to get Stephen Murray fit. Like, he only came on at the end, and like one of the bright sparks for Burgess was David Nealon. Like, he looks like a real prospect, and
Shane, look,
he's got picked up an injury, I think, as well. So whether he's going to be fit for final is another thing.
Well, I didn't hear that. If David Nealon is out, I'd be definitely going for Clonakilty. That was his look. He's been unbelievable in all the games. With no Stephen Murray, no Bill Flass starting, he was the main pinnacle point of everything. Yeah. So a lot of pressure on a young lad, and he's like a lad who's been on for 10 years. He just
freedom, though.
Yeah, very true. But even to step up to the freeze as well, like that was, I've just been so impressed with him. And look, I know he's a serious Irish dancer as well, and depending on how serious he takes that, like he will be with a tip 20 panel or tip 20 team as well.
Yeah. I'll just go through maybe the four intermediate quarters and maybe a quick prediction maybe from you. Saturday 4:00 in Bancha, Knockavilla Kickham's against Mile Rovers. Same time in Anacarty, it's Galway Confecal against Arravale Rovers. On Sunday at 1:30, Borsa against Kilsheal and Kilcash and Templemore. And at the same time in Golden, it's Kappa White against Ballingarry. Tough ask of Arravale putting out Arravale out 6 days after playing a penalty shootout again, and then they're going in against probably the favourites in Golden. So tough ask for Arravale, but it's been a good season for Arravale getting to a quarter final. Like, that's a step forward for them. But you're probably expecting Golden to win there.
Yeah, and look, I suppose the mental fatigue alone from the sudden death, like I was drained keeping an update there from James Hayden, let alone the players. But I actually did the West semi-final below in Bancha back in when was it? In July, start of August, and Golden gave Arravale an awful hockey. Now, granted, it was 6-7 days after All-Ireland. Obviously, a couple of the boys probably were enjoying themselves, but they've improved tenfold, Shane. They've a lovely young team coming through as well. I just think Golden, for me, Golden are the favourites. They're my favourites anyway for the intermediate, so I'd be going for Golden there. But again, you hit the nail on the head. Arravale have improved tenfold from the West semi-final, and regardless of what happens, they should be delighted with their year anyway.
So I'd be probably thinking Kickham's over Mile Rovers, Kilsheelan over Bursakane, and probably Kappa White over Ballingarry, depending on whether Dylan Walsh can play. What would you think about them?
I'd agree with you, Bar. I think Mile Rovers are an absolute dark horse. I've been so impressed with them, especially their last two group games. Motoring well in the football. I think they're taking the hurling proper serious this year as they're coming up from the junior. I'd be going against the grain there against you. I'd be going for Mile Rovers there. Kilsheelan, Kilsheelan will have too much. And for me, Ballingarry to start there, they were my 1, 2, 3 themselves, Golden and Kilsheelan. But Kappa White I think they've improved a lot from last year. Maybe that hurted the semi-final defeat against Moycarkey. They probably should have felt it better in those Armageddon conditions in the rag. I'd agree with all of those, bar the Mile Over game. I think they might cause an upset against Kickham's.
Okay, and I suppose last weekend, Newport and Skeheenarinky, they preserved their status in intermediate. So the final is between Ballybacon, Grange and Drom-Inch. That's in 2 weeks' time. Just the 4 junior quarterfinals. 3 of them are on Saturday. First one is at 2. I think it's gone back to later in the afternoon. Rockwell Rovers against Moycarkey Burris. Then at 4 o'clock is Clonmelo against Nenagh and Temple Tuohy, and then Kilruane against Care and Drumban at 4. And then one of them, the last one on Sunday, that's the second match between Holy Cross and Cashel. It's in the Junior A at 1 o'clock. And then we have the 4 senior Camogie quarterfinals on Saturday with Drom-Inch against Silvermines in the rag at 4. Thurles Arsefields against Moneygall in Thurles at 4. Then at 5, it's Clonolty Rossmore against Burgess Tuhara in Clonolty, and then at 5:30, it's Aero Gannacarty against Knockavilla Kickham's. I'd say of the 4 Camogie quarters, probably I'd say Thurles, Clonolty, and Anacarty strong favourites. I think that the upset could come. It's Silvermines over Drum. Silvermines have been building very, very nicely this year.
They have, and again, I haven't got to any of the games, but I've been following all the results, and obviously speaking there with Kevin Hanley and Geraldine Cannan as well. The Mines, again, it's a complete free hit, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did cause a shock. It's a fierce young team, and they've gone about their business nicely in the group stage. I didn't think they'd pick up as many points as they would. Again, Moneygall, free hit for them in the quarterfinal as well. I think it'll be a step too much, but again, once you come up that grade, you're looking to keep your status. So, the Camogie Championship has been absolutely blind again this year. I love the way the 2 groups work out. You get your 4 or 5 games, and it's been a really good championship again this year. And I think Geraldine is looking to stream as many games as possible herself on the Tipp Camogie YouTube channel. So again, like a broken clock here. The work she's doing for the Camogie has been unbelievable, and hopefully I can get to 1 or 2 of those games or watch them on the YouTube.
Yeah, I know they're showing Drum and Silvermines this weekend, and I suppose the biggest game of the ball in Camogie this weekend is Sunday, is the relegation final, Cashel against Shannon Rovers. Like, you think both clubs would have be playing. Cashel got to a semi-final last year and he lost an extra time to Thurles, and geez, they've had a rotten championship. I suppose Karen Blair being missing, she missed most of the campaign after her head injury in the All-Ireland semi. She came back against Anacarty just in time. So, like, it's probably fancy Cashel there, but like that's definitely the biggest game of the weekend in Camogie. And just before we go, Gary, the All-Star nominations were announced yesterday. Tipp got 13. No surprises there. I think Sam O'Farrell, and Connor Stakely, maybe the only 2 maybe starters that didn't get anything. The Hurler of the Year nominations, some surprise that Ronan Maher didn't get nominated. I kind of wasn't. We always thought that Jake and John McGrath would be the 2. I didn't think Tipp would get 3. I always thought Brian Hayes would be the 3rd. It's fascinating for me. I'm doing a piece actually on Tipp's Player of the Year, and I think if you go through from day 1 against Galway in the league to the end, Jake Morris and Owen Connolly have been very, very good. And I think we all know All-Stars tend to be more on championship, which brings John McGrath more into the fold and what he did in the semi and final. So, and of course, the Players of the Year are decided by the players themselves of all 32 inter-county teams. If I was to vote, I'd go Jake. It was like, I'm one of those things that should take the whole year into account. But I think a lot of the players will side on John McGrath and his kind of redemption season and his impact in the latter end. So as long as the vote doesn't split and Brian Hayes sneaks in, it has to be Jake. If it's John or Jake, for me, I couldn't say a boo against either of them.
Yeah, no, again, I think what year did John Lahey win it? And he was it only in the league, wasn't it?
He only won an All-Star 94, based
94, yeah, he only played the league. Again, I'm the exact same. I think the league should be taken into consideration as well, which look, it's more recency bias. I would agree, Jake has been, I suppose, my favourite player all year, just from a consistency point of view. But then again, John has just done the scoring at the right end of the season. Both deserve it, Shane. I know sitting on the fence here, but both completely deserve it. And I do think John will pip it more so. Again, what you're saying, it's the redemption year. He got the goals and we needed the goals. He was absolutely dynamite. Brought lads into games as well. But Jake, I think he's gone to a whole new level this year. Delight for him as well, from his own personal point of view. Like he's elite. Like he's now a top 10 hurler in the country. His consistency over the last 2 years. I know we probably had a poor year last year, but I still thought I was seeing something different in Jake last year from a physical point of view. But no, look, it's a great complaint to be worrying about if a vote's going to be split. Hopefully John, just from what he's gone through, I think John will pip it. And then sure, the young hurler here then, sure, how could you call it?
I think it's an easy one for me. It's Robert Doyle.
Yeah,
but I don't think he'll win it. I think Dara is the more high profile of the two, and I just think of the fact that it's not just the two red cards, but he was also suspended for the Clare game, which means he effectively was sent off against Cork at the start, but didn't play the game, so he effectively missed 2 games, I just think it's on the whole season. I just think from the moment Robert Doyle came on as a sub against Galway in the league, he was outstanding, and we would not have won the All-Ireland title but for his goal line block against Kilkenny.
Yeah,
if you went home to his sock drawer, you'd find Tony Kelly in there, you'd find Desi Hutchinson in there, you'd find Alan Connolly in there. Like he was. I just think there's no debate for me. It's Robert Doyle by the street.
Yeah, look, if you're going on one performance alone, Dara for the All-Ireland final, yeah, that's it. It's your young hurler here, but from consistency, as you're saying, again, it comes back to the league. It won't be taken into consideration. He's been that, like, we've been missing Cottle Barrett, that edginess, that steelness. And again, people forget, so people outside the Tip, he does most of his hurling around with Lorna Park and the forwards for his club as well. So transition like that into a senior setup so quickly has just been immense. Now, I would agree with you. I would be giving.
The thing that won't help him is he's a back, and Adam English and Darren McCarthy are high profile. That the forwards always get the.
Yeah, and again, and do you know what? There's a serious argument as well for Adam English. If Limerick had gone deeper, I think it would have been a no-brainer. I think he was unbelievable in the Munster and All-Ireland Championship for the games that he played.
Would be the one player against Dublin that played up to scratch, like. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if Limerick had got to the semi-final, I do think I probably would have given my vote even from a tip man.
You lost there, Gary. We just lost Gary's link there. But I think we're more or less wrapped up with that debate there now. So it'll be fascinating. I think the first Friday in November is when the All-Stars are going to be announced. Fascinating to see how many Tip will get. We'll probably get at least 6, maybe 7. So it's getting so hard to pick All-Star teams. There was so many games to take into consideration. I want to thank Gary once again for joining us through an hour and 18 minutes there. We had a lot to get through there. And we'll be back next week to review those quarterfinals, and we'll have a look ahead to football quarterfinal weekend. My thanks to Gary. Bye for now.